Hi guys, my name's Barry and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be looking at The Ones Who Live episode 2. This is obviously part of the Walking Dead franchise. And last week we looked at the last 4 or 5, maybe 6 years of Rick Grimes, and I predicted that episode 2 would probably be about Michonne, and I wasn't wrong. Most of the episode was about Michonne, the last few years of what Michonne has been up to ever since she left the community to go and look for Rick. Along the way, Michonne meets new characters, Aiden, Bailey and Nat. I think Aiden and Bailey were actually in the last couple of episodes of The Walking Dead, but they didn't have a big role. But she meets up with these 3 people to try and help her try and find Rick. Now, it is good that people are in the show trying to help Michonne get from A to B, because realistically she probably couldn't do it herself. But at the same time, these characters felt rushed to me because they were brought in, they were made to look like main characters, they had dialogue like main characters as well. They had dialogue in it that it's almost like we're supposed to have known them for years, but we actually haven't. We've only known them for a couple of episodes or one episode. And I just didn't connect to any of these new characters. Now, this is obviously spoilers, like I've said before, guys. But so turn away now if you haven't realised. But these characters, they all die in this episode. Now, Aiden and Bailey, I didn't think they were going to die. But if they died, I wouldn't be surprised. But with Nat, because he looked like a character that was going to be built up, I felt that he wasn't going to die in this episode. I thought he was going to be one of the main characters throughout this entire show. So I was quite surprised to see Nat die. But Aiden and Bailey, I wasn't too surprised. But my issue with Bailey and Aiden is we find out that she's pregnant, and then we have this little moment between her and Michonne, and it makes me think, okay, this baby's probably going to get to a point where it's going to be due and come out, and there's going to be mayhem happen, but that doesn't happen. We get that dialogue, the dialogue from her as if we're going to see that in the future, but we don't get to see that at all, because minutes later, her and her partner Bailey are absolutely dead. I think the worst out of these 3 characters was actually Nat, and I don't know what it is. I think maybe the actor that played Nat was overacting, and his lines were overproduced, and I think maybe that's not the actor's fault, but I just didn't like him at all, because he was saying things and doing things that I just didn't quite understand. Him, even Aiden and Bailey as well, this is a community that they were living together for years. And when Michonne passes by, she saves a couple of them, but she's passing by. She just asks for a horse so that she can go and find Rick. But then these guys are like, we're coming with you. Not just those 3, but their community, or some of their community. They're like, we'll come with you. We'll just drop everything that we've been building for years and just come with you to rescue a man we don't know and is most likely dead. If we look at Michonne's journey to go and find Rick, she gets into a predicament where her and Nat have to hold off for what seems to be a year or so to try and find Rick. But even before that, if you're a mother of 2 children back in a community in a post-apocalyptic world, what are the chances of you abandoning those kids, albeit they're with people, but you've abandoned them as a mother to go and find a man who is quite possibly dead? She's trying to find this guy who has been away for 5 years, and she doesn't know if he's alive, and the chances of him being alive are slim enough, but the chances of her finding him are even slimmer. Obviously, that's exactly what happens because it's just a show, but when you're trying to show Michonne as a caring and loving mother, she's certainly not. Now, we do get to that point where we see at the end of the first episode where Michonne and Rick finally find each other for the first time after years, and this is their moment to run away. Just get away and never come back. But Rick says, no, I've got a plan. I'll let them take us in. You pretend that you're somebody else. You live with us, and then we try and escape. I just don't get it. They're already out there. Yes, there's helicopters on the way, but try and make your way out of there. What other better chance are you going to get away from a military that size with 2 of you now in a place where you have to try and escape from? And when you do eventually escape, you're in the same predicament. You have to try and get away. What are the chances? And I bet this happens, and I'll come back to it. If they find a chance to get away and they're on the run and these people are on their tail already, That's very stupid because they could have done that in episode 2. One of the biggest issues with Rick's plan is the fact that Jadis is still around. Jadis appears at the end of the episode saying hello, Rick. Rick seems a little bit surprised, but not surprised at the same time because he knows that she's part of that community, but he probably just wasn't expecting to see her so soon. And Jadis can obviously ID Michonne, so Michonne being in there pretending to be somebody else is pointless because Rick must have had it in his mind. Jadis can return at any point. ID Michonne and the gig is up. Jadis does come back. She says, yep, I've seen Michonne. If you try and escape, then I will ID her. So I don't know if Jadis is going to be a full-blown bad guy. Like, she wasn't really like that in The Walking Dead. She was more the neutral party. She only does what benefits her and her people. She might do the same again in this show. She might help Rick because it might benefit her in a way. Maybe she wants to escape. I don't know. So that remains to be seen. But it's just another issue that Rick has to deal with instead of just trying to escape with Michonne when they had the chance. I know that it all comes down to having plot points and an idea for the entire show. And this is what it looks like it's going to be. The fact that they didn't run away, because that probably would have ended the show. They had to come back to this place, this military base, so that the whole rest of the show can run on them trying to escape. Hopefully that's not the case because I don't want it to be another scenario that we've seen before in the previous Walking Dead show where there's these people that go into a community, they're scared, there's something going on and they try and get away. There's something that had always annoyed me about The Walking Dead, and it was Rick and Michonne and all their people make their way to these places around the areas that they're hiking. They get to a place, they burn it to the ground, blame everybody else and move on. Do the same again, and the same again. And I'm hoping it doesn't happen with this show because that's what it looks like is going to happen. Rick and Michonne are going to get people together in this military base, tell them what they're doing is bad, even though they've been doing it for years, tell them what they're doing is bad, cause chaos, escape, and then the military base burns down. If that happens, I probably won't like the show, but that remains to be seen. I am going to remain positive though because it looks like there is something building there that I've not seen in a long time with The Walking Dead. The quality's still there, the acting's there. Everything seems a lot better looking than what we saw in the previous two or three seasons of The Walking Dead there. So I'm still optimistic. I'm still hopeful. The episode was still really good. It was good to see Rick and Michonne come back together and communicate. Obviously, we saw them come back together in the first episode, but they didn't communicate. Whereas in this one, we see it and they get a good maybe 10, 15 minutes together in this episode. So it's all moving forward from here. Rick and Michonne are together. They know each other are alive. Let's move forward and hopefully we get an even better episode. So what are your thoughts on episode 2, guys? Do you think it was better than episode 1? Is there something building here, or do you think it's rinse and repeat from the previous shows that we got before? Leave your comments down below, guys. Let me know what you think, and I'll talk to you soon.
Meeting adjourned.
I'll be right back.
What are you waiting for, huh?
Coming to get you, Barbara.
Ever played in the cat?
Someone's in the back seat!